Yeah, let's do it.
Hello, Matt. Welcome to Show Me Your Soul.
Thank you, Miriam. I'm so glad to be here with you, sharing a space with you again, and excited for whatever may come.
I'm very excited too. Just to get started, I want to give acknowledgement to how much I admire you. I want this podcast to be all about those conversations that we have over the phone with our friends, like those type of conversations that we have on our coaching calls, like deep, raw, unfiltered conversation. That's what I want. So,
Oh,
and you bring that a lot in me, right? I see you as someone, yeah, that I admire, that we're walking the same path, and I like learning from you. I like talking with you because there's, things that I guess downloads, right? Things that we experience when we talk to people that are in the same alignment as us. So with
agreed.
that being said, I appreciate a lot all the knowledge, the effort that you put into things, how you push me, and that's why this is being recorded right now. We went from a coaching call to recording a podcast, which I
Yeah.
love. Because every time I face fears, somehow you give me a tool to like take it away and be like, okay, you're good. It's not the end of the world. Nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah, thank you. I'm honored to be here. Glad to be here. Happy that we created this space, so that we can share with those who might feel identified with showing themselves, showing out up for themselves, taking up space in the world to allow their light to shine bright, you know? And I understand. I think in essence we all get it. We are very afraid of failing, or sometimes, as we've spoken before, we're very afraid of success and what that may imply, the changes it might imply in our lives. And understand seeing other people go through that and acknowledging other people that are doing it regardless of the fear they might face, like right now, what's happening right now, like it's not a perfect setting. We're not planning this at all. However, we're putting ourselves out there, and that's a way in which we can show others you don't need to be perfect to put yourself out there. You don't need to get the perfect team, invest in all this beautiful editing and equipment, or whatever you want to do. If you're creating a company, you don't need to have the product completely perfect in order to launch. You can iterate, you can improve as you go along. If you have a relationship, the exact same thing. It doesn't need to be perfect for you to fully commit. It doesn't need to be the perfect prince in the shining armor that comes to your life and ticks all the boxes and has absolutely no kind of red flag. But instead, you can build a relationship. You know, I'm pretty sure when you had your daughters, you were definitely not ready as such for it, but see the amazing thing you've done with them, the amazing healing process, the amazing women you're creating, and I feel we can become inspired by seeing others take up space in their own imperfection, in their own humanity. So I'm glad and honored to be here.
Of course, I'm glad I know you're here. So yeah, I think one of the biggest takeaways that I've learned with you and the amazing program that you created, for those listening, and Mateo runs a program called Ananke, which for me has helped me put legs and arms to my dreams, like to fully understand where I want to go, who I want to be, to imagine my best day, to project to the future, but also acknowledging, like one of my biggest takeaways lately has been acknowledging the battles that I've conquered. And like you just said, I don't have to have the 1 million subscribers right now. I'm okay with how many ever I have right now. And my worry right now is feeding these followers as much as good information as I can. Not worrying about getting more followers, but like understanding that. whoever needs to listen to the message is going to listen to the message. And looking, but also there is a part, like you mentioned it, that sometimes when you have something so clear in front of you and you know the direction you have to take, it's freaking petrifying. Like I know the potential that I could have by speaking, right? But I also am creating that parallel universe right now, like you said before. So you told me once that there is a parallel universe where I can be the type of mom that I want to be and have everything I want to have, right? And I think I'm so petrified of trying again because when I tried to do that before, the two times that I tried to do that before, I failed. And I failed to the role of motherhood that I want to be. And you can ask my mom. When she used to ask me when I was 6, 5, 3, what do you want to be? I will always answer, I want to be a mom. That was my answer since always. And I went on and I studied exercise physiology. I worked in cardiac rehab with patients. And then I had my daughter and I realized, I was like, I'm leaving my daughter for most of the day. This is not the kind of mother I want to be. So I switched again. I left everything I thought I wanted and I switched again to be a stay-at-home mom. I'm someone that is always reinventing herself. I don't know if it's because I'm a Scorpio. I don't know why the hell, but I'm always like reinventing myself. I went on and I took my hobby, which is photography, and I made it into a business. To the point that I was recording Piso 21 on stage. One day I knocked in Juanes' house and I was like, what is going on? I was like, what's happening? And then yet again, I jeopardized the time with my daughters because when you get to that level and when you get to negotiate with people that are high up in the industry of whatever industry that you are targeting, right? I put risk, I risk my motherhood again. So I think right now I'm petrified. I'm completely petrified of not being able to play hide and go seek with my daughters. Completely petrified of like not having that time and ever putting again. It's not my success because I know I can have both of them at the same time. But yeah, I don't know. Like when I say it out loud, it doesn't even make sense. That's the fear.
Why do you say it doesn't make sense?
Because it's an excuse that I'm giving myself. It's an
Well,
excuse that I'm giving myself.
it's where the fear is, and like the poem, the Marianne Williamson poem says, like our deepest fear is not not that we're inadequate or not the darkness, not the failure. Our deepest fear is our light, or as the poem says, that we are powerful beyond measure. We are literally sons of divinity, and we are here to embody divinity. And we know that's our deepest wish and deepest responsibility. However, when you get stuck in our comfort zone, whichever comfort zone it is, be it being a physician, or be it being a photographer for like these amazing people in the industry, or being a mom, and or I don't mean just a mom in the sense of
No,
just a
no, I
mom,
get, I get.
like not doing the other things you also want to do and putting yourself out there. You can get stuck in a comfort zone where you fear what it may take to reach the next level, and you can fear not reaching it and putting all the resources, but you can also fear like holding that and allowing yourself to be that, because of whatever, because of the criticism you may receive, or the friendships or relationships you might lose, because of the excuses and the habits that you would sacrifice, like you cannot victimize yourself anymore. You know, like someone who doesn't have $1 million may justify his, you know, whatever sense of failure or lack of pursuit of whatever he or she wants, because they are not rich. The moment you get $1 million, you cannot victimize yourself and be like, oh, it's because I don't have 10 million that I'm sad. You know, it's like, oh no, you have to own whatever you have. And that would be more a fear of success. That would be more how a fear of success looks like, which is what you just described. And we've spoken about this before. The fear of success, of not of sacrificing that which you want to do and be the most, which is a mom, and which you have done an amazing job at, and sacrificing that for another parallel calling you have, which is helping other people and impacting them in 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 their own lives, and helping other parents basically do the same with your kids, which actually makes total sense. But when we allow ourselves to open up to the vastness and the abundance, the infinite abundance of the universe, and realize that there is a way, we might not know exactly how, but there is a way in which you don't need to like reject that which you're called to also answer another calling, you know, then we can start like moving towards that. However, our nervous system is used to whatever experiences we had before. So you've had two experiences where you've, like you said, like you didn't achieve it. You know, you failed. You said you failed because you got so caught up in the work that you started leaving your motherhood aside, and that generates like a wound or like a mark in your nervous system. And we all get this, you know, like whatever it is, we all get this wound in the nervous system that tells us, be careful, you know, yeah, it'll happen again, so don't do it. And it'll create multiple ways. Like the ego is infinite, it's infinitely creative, multiple ways to avoid you from you know, achieving that and taking the risk again. So part of the job is to allow yourself to be in bliss, be in joy, allow your nervous system to relax whilst you are experiencing that path to that universe. You know, like say right now, instead of feeling right now like, oh, I feel guilty because I'm spending time pursuing this dream of this podcast, this message, these courses, this help, this contribution and service I can do to the world, and not just to my daughters. You can allow yourself to like enter into a blissful state. Same thing when you edit the next ones, and when you plan, and when you speak with, I don't know, your friends, your family, the people you admire, the people you will knock on doors to bring them in. Instead of feeling like guilt, which is the one of the densest, you know, more difficult sensations, which is probably what you feel and probably why your nervous system like activates, and it's so rough, and it's rough in the body, and it's rough in like your thought process. Through breath, through dance, through like focus, you can allow yourself to relax that nervous system so that you don't self-sabotage whilst you're in the process of creating and walking towards that universe as well. You know?
100%.
Yeah. Which is in a way what we're doing, you know? Enjoying this moment.
No, I'm learning to have what I have in order to get what I want, like you always say, you know? I'm learning to have what I have. I'm learning, um, I mean, I'm the type of person that if I put my mind into it, I get it done. Like I get it done. It's a matter of taking away these egos or taking away this nervousness and saying, okay, like and now that you said it out loud, when I said failed, it's not like I failed. I'm someone that you know me, I used to judge myself much more than I do now. And I was my own worst critic, right?
Yeah.
I victimized myself a lot for that after. But then I was like, no, it's my choice to victimize myself or not victimize myself. So learn to have what you have in order to ask or get what you want. And then again, I think of the poem, Nature Loves Courage. And then I'm here in the abyss about to jump, and I'm like, whoa, I wish I could, like, someone push me? A little push. And I'm the
Yeah.
type of person that I jump, like I literally cannonball into things sometimes. But that has also triggered my nervous system because sometimes I cannonball into things and I go and I do things without even thinking. I always land on my feet. Yeah. I always enjoy the trip down as well. But then I guess the times that I haven't have marked my nervous system in a way. So now that I think of going all in, and it's not like I have to spend any money, I know how to edit. I think I started collecting tools throughout my life in order to be who I am right now. I studied exercise physiology. I never thought I was gonna put exercise physiology anywhere outside the hospital that I used to work in. Now I'm doing the Pilates things, right? And with the Pilates thing, I've been healing a lot of that teenager, which I think is the one that holds a lot of fear. I think it's the one that really held the fear of like being seen, being appreciated, being heard. Like I had to quiet myself so much in order to, be normal as I thought I needed to be, that when it comes to speaking up, it's petrifying. But then again, I do it on social media and it's going good. So it's a proof.
You naturally have that you naturally take up space. Like I know you, I see you. You naturally take up space. Somewhere along the line, in your teenage years, probably, like you felt like that nature of yours
Was
was
too much.
was too much. You
Mhm.
know, you were I don't know, people were liking it, and yeah, it was probably too much.
The thing
What
with me is that I have no filter. Like whatever I feel, you'll hear. And I've learned that not everyone needs to hear my opinion either. Like, because that has gotten me, when I was teenager, that got me in a lot of trouble. Why? Because I used to go and tell you the way I thought it, I told you it. And I'm never putting masks on. Like my mom used to always tell me, cambia la cara, change your face. I'm like, the only one I have. But I've learned, like that there's also being called, like, okay, not because you're triggering my opinion, that means that you have to hear it.
True. Like I totally resonate with that. I had the same thing when I was a teenager. Got into tons of problems with teachers and classmates and school. Uh and I think it's about time to forgive ourselves for that person. Like, of course, when probably if you ask almost anyone, like if you could be yourself and go back to high school, like would you
So,
appreciate, like all the maturity you now have and the decisions you now make? And probably everyone would be like, yeah, if I went to high school, I would be like,
you're a
dude,
fucking rock star,
I would be a rock star, and at the same time, I'd be so chilled, like I wouldn't worry about like so many
bro.
things. I would have a good time. I would have a great time. When probably like 95% of people, or 99, even the people who seem like we're having a good time, like I think those years in general are just like hard.
No, and by going back, like I can look back and the people that used to bully me, they're the ones that had it worst in their house. I had a healthy household, you know, like I don't think anyone has a healthy household, but my, you know, like my parents were parenting and I was not being bullied by my mom. I was being bullied outside my house.
Yeah.
I had a safe space to come home. So I'm very grateful for that. You know, like it's something that I'm very grateful for. And through teaching these teenage girls that I'm teaching now, I like to start my classes with an intention. So I always tell them, let's let go of what everyone else thinks or the opinion of others, you know, and through the class and through movement, I help them release it.
Yeah.
And then I close the class with a meditation. And you know what? It's been very healing for me. It's been very healing for me. It's been very healing for that Miriam that needed to be seen, that needed to be heard. And I think the more that I'm doing this, the less scared of being seen I am, right? And yeah, I think, but like you said, I think I'm also doing EMDR to repattern my nervous system. So yesterday I was like doing literally the EMDR, and then it went to like a biodecodification where I started feeling the weight that I used to put on, like on my back, of carrying things that are outside my control. Like what's going on with my mom, what's going on with my husband, what's going on with whoever else that it's outside of me. Right. And then I went right into the gut and I felt such guilt of letting go of that weight. But I think it's because I always wanted to be seen, so I always helped around. I was like, "Oh yeah, come, I'll help you. I'll help you. I'll help you." And I have to forgive myself, and it's not even forgive myself. I have to appreciate myself for doing that and to teach me that I want to put myself first. That I don't have to feel guilt for not taking up on your problems or my mom's problems or my husband's problems. And the more that I'm able to let go of that, the more I can receive, right? And I don't mean receiving I mean receiving love. For me, it's very hard to receive, right? I put myself in a position of giving, and you always say there has to be a balance between the feminine and the masculine, the
Yeah.
feminine and the masculine, and that balance was completely off until like I think I am still like balancing it, you know?
Yeah, it's never like 50-50, you know. Uh, it's more like a
I
dance.
oh, my dance, yeah. That's how I see it.
Yeah, and with this like like re how do you say it in English? Repat
Reprogramming,
repat
repattern, yeah.
not like becoming your own mom and your own dad, you know?
Oh, reparenting.
Reparenting, thank you. Like with this reparenting, um, in a sense, you're holding that same teenager, you know, because that's what we do. Like we are carrying our inner child, we're carrying our inner teenager, we're carrying all the versions of ourselves with us, and
Mm.
we and they can be tools. They can be tools. Whenever we need that kid, we can bring it up again. Whenever we need that teenager, we can bring it up again. You know, that rebellious teenager, the one that questions everything, the ones that has these like visions and dreams, and the kid that's like joyful and can appreciate life for what it is. And the adult is the one holding the steering wheel, but can call or should be the one holding the steering wheel and call these other versions of ourselves. Thing is, having the adult hold the steering wheel whilst we're going through that dark cloud of trauma, say, or at least uh, fears that arise when we're about to do something and jump into the abyss, like the Nature Loves Courage poem. Like, say next time you're editing and about to publish the podcast, or you're about to do a live with someone, or whatever may start bringing all those teenage fears, tapping into that archetype, that version of yourself. Hold the steering wheel with the adult. Keep your eyes, keep your sights on the bigger picture, on what you are building. You're building it for her.
Yeah.
You're building it for your daughters. You're building it for the teenagers that are coming to your Pilates class, and you're building it for every single person that may heal and may dream and may thrive through your help, through that help. I also intend on reminding myself of that, because I can also get lost in the either the follower or like count, or the zeros in the bank account. And then it's like the adult, the kings, the queens archetypes, they don't work that way. They're not that's like a teenager mindset, like counting the the rawness, the just whatever, like it's a short-sighted mindset of, oh, how many likes, oh, how many dollar bills. And it's useful in a way, but the adult is the one that is looking towards the grander picture and being like, I am building a kingdom, I am generating a legacy, I am serving a higher purpose, I am a tool, I am a channel for something bigger to come through me. I am here to help, I am here to serve through living the best life I can, and keeping sort of like the eye on the prize, but not on the egotistic, material price, but on like the true deep price, which is that vision of what we intend.
Yeah, and finding different ways, right? So I think I've tried different type of content, but you were just saying right now that you can use them as tools, right? Your inner child, your inner teen, and also, for example, that I did this. Actually have them right here. I did this ego, right? This ego
Was that
thing.
was that short?
Where I
Cool.
put like I did it with Luis actually, that we met through Luis. I
Yeah.
did it with him. I did this work where I had to like find three of my egos, right? And this was a rebel, this was the perfect daughter, and this was super woman. But I also have Ursula and Olaf, okay?
Yeah.
And I fucking love Ursula when I have to love her. Like some people deserve to meet Ursula. Some people deserve to be put in their place by Ursula, you know? Do I want to be Ursula all the time? No, I want to be Olaf. I want to relax. I want to, like chill. But that doesn't mean that I don't have tools from Wonder Woman, from Elsa, from Ursula. I have different tools, and it's up to me. Like you were saying, I think with the steering wheel example, I'm just rephrasing it in my own way, and it's understanding a little bit of who's in the steering wheel at the time, right? Because we don't have one ego. People think of egos and they're like, oh, yeah, you have a lot of ego. No, no, no. You have a lot of egos.
Yeah.
There is plenty up there. And it's about, like understanding that, yeah, before Ursula was in the steering wheel, right now Olaf is. But that doesn't mean that Olaf is going to allow everyone to pass on top of him, doesn't mean that he's gonna allow everyone to like just walk right through him. Sometimes Ursula might pop up and be like, "Bro, get back to your place."
Yeah.
That to me is the way I see what you just said, and yeah, I go and I play with my daughters, and my heart races like if I'm a kid. The other day I was in the dirty clothes bin, hidden, with my heart palpating like out of my chest for my daughters not to find me. To me, that's like I'm giving a hug to that little Miriam. That little Miriam that needed it. You were gonna
And
say,
no, what I was gonna say is learning how to use the tools all those versions of yourself or ourselves is so important. Like self-awareness is key, because then we can use all our dimensions properly for the sake of what we want to create, for the sake of who we want to be, and for the sake of the people we touch with our lives. And some people may feel afraid of using the tools in the right time, you know? It's like, you may feel, I don't know if this would be the case, but say Ursula, you've used Ursula also on yourself, you know, and you've given yourself plenty of
She's a main character sometimes. Yeah, she's
yeah. and maybe because the way you've used Ursula before is whipping yourself, you know, with guilt and shame, and you know, you don't deserve this, you may not be realizing that her power can also help you whip yourself to be that version that helps you leap into the abyss, for example. You know,
I need to bring her.
let's do it, you know. And that can be a superpower, but if we reject those sides of ourselves, we can also reject it because we felt hurt by those sides of ourselves before, because the only way we've used them is in a way in which we've become hurt, or we've hurt somebody else. Probably that's a power, you know, like that's a power. If Ursula can put
That is
other
a
people
power.
in their place, if Ursula can put other people in their place, and you can learn to do it lovingly, maybe she can remind you of your place in a loving way. Like, hey, your place is not in a place that is afraid, or it might be afraid, but even so, with fear, your place is the one that takes action. Even with dizziness, or even with self-sabotage, you take action, and that is your place, because you're a person that makes things happen.
And I'm proving to myself also, like, you know, like I if I really wanted to give in, I wouldn't even drive with how dizzy I was. Oh, let me fill you guys in. I've been feeling very dizzy. My prescription went down, and it's been 15 years since my eyes were the same prescription. So it's been very dizzy, right? But yeah, I think it's a way of self-sabotaging. I think I have that very clear right now, and more after this conversation. I think it's about allowing myself to flow, allowing that Ursula to flow a little bit, but also to not, you know, not be so relaxed like Olaf, to take action also
To help you push through,
to help me
you know,
push through.
remind you of your place. Like you said that regarding Ursula. Like, I like that expression. Like, put people in their place.
I
Well,
have to put me on my place.
huh?
I have to put me on my place.
Yeah, like putting you in your place, but your place is not a place of like feeling terrible about yourself, and you know,
Not
your place
anymore.
is a place where you push through.
Yeah.
You push through and you act and you create. Like, I remember when you just started like taking your Instagram account seriously, and all of a sudden, boom, 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 like it's been exploding because you have a gift. Your place is a place where that gift is put to the service,
Yeah.
and you are doing it, but you also have this calling to show your face more, to
No, to do more meaningful things. There is so much I can do with a 30-second video, with a minute video. But with a podcast where I bring people that I actually take advice from, that I actually admire, you know, and being able to bring that side of them also into the play. And I mean, I have one question that you know, like I have a lot of questions that I've written down that I want to ask guests, but the one that has been calling for me to you has been, what's one emotion that you avoided most of your life, and what has it been trying to teach you?
whew, nice. Guilt. Guilt has been the main emotion I've worked with in the past 2.5 years, and it was an emotion I avoided my whole life in a way that I didn't even realize I had. I thought I didn't have any guilt at all. I didn't realize. I remember like when we were 18, a friend of mine had this whole experience with LSD and guilt. And I remember him telling me like how he felt, how he saw himself, and I was like, huh, I don't even know if I've experienced guilt in my life. And then like a while back, I realized, because I've learned from other feelings so much, and I've studied them like anger and fear and sadness. But guilt was one that just wasn't in my scope. And then I've realized how dense it is, how how vulnerable we are when we are not addressing guilt to control. Guilt is the main tool for control, like not even fear. Like you can control a population through fear for sure, but never as you can control them with guilt. Say I don't know, well, there's how many examples in the world of populations being controlled by fear, so many. But
Religion being the first, but we're not gonna get into that right here.
sorry, which one?
Religion being the first, but we're not gonna get into that right here.
Yes, religion being the first, but actually it's like through fear they can control many things. They can keep you in fear, and through fear you don't act, or it's way harder to act. But say, how many rebellions have existed? So I don't know, I'm thinking about like the French Revolution. That population was obviously controlled by fear, but eventually they just exploded.
Yeah.
But if you can control somebody through guilt, guilt is way harder to see, to realize, and to experience and change.
But I think every parent, I mean, not every parent, most of the parents, a lot of them parent through guilt. And that's
Well,
why we all have a problem with guilt, even the ones that we don't like to admit. Like I told you, I had, and then I felt where I stored my guilt. And that's the stubborn freaking fat that doesn't want to go away on my body. And I'm like, no, bro, like I don't want to deal with you anymore. But then I
well,
have to face that fear of facing my guilt.
yeah, and then actually processing the guilt, which we can all tell you've been doing in many ways. And religion's main source of control has been guilt, in particular traditional Christianity, not Christianity as a whole, but the way the way like the Catholic Church has done it in particular has been mostly through guilt, like original sin, like that idea of like we are sinners. And parents, like you said, do parenting through guilt, but the thing is, because they've inherited that, like it's such a strong feeling that it's really hard to look and not transmit. Like say for example, I don't know, my father was pretty aware of not parenting me through anger. He was very beautiful in that sense, and he would not channel his anger to me or my brother, almost never. Same with my mother. However, I don't think they were as aware of guilt and shame as they were about hunger, about anger, because anger is actually like a way lighter emotion, way lighter than fear and guilt
Mhm.
and shame. Actually, the worst two are shame and guilt. So I decided to dive deep into shame and guilt. I actually just came from the Amazon with the Yahuanahuas, and I did 3 ayahuascas there. And my last ceremony of ayahuasca, I allowed myself. I have identified it rational, and I've experienced many of it, but I had never allowed myself to feel guilt and shame the way I felt it. It was horrible. It was precious, but it was horrible. And what I've learned through guilt and shame is to enjoy my humanity and enjoy myself, celebrate myself like I've never celebrated myself before. like actually accepting that I'm a human being with all my power as I am a son of God, you know, and son of the earth, but at the same time understand my size as I am a human. That has freed me because guilt was this persistent feeling of I am not enough,
Hmm.
you know, this persistent feeling of I fucked up and I should be punished somehow, you know, by being existing and having a sexual drive and failures and you know uh just just a human experience. And all of a sudden, like allowing myself to dance with guilt, dance with shame has has freed me
Hmm.
so much, you know, to allow myself to not take myself too seriously, because I'm not meant to take myself too seriously. I'm a human being. I'm a child. You know, it's like when you see a child, you don't it's beautiful, but you don't need to take it seriously for it to be powerful, for it to be beautiful. You don't take seriously their struggles. You know, like they just fall down, hit their knee, and start crying a bit. Like you don't think it's the end of the world. You don't take it too seriously, and you know it's not the end of the world. And the best thing you can do as a parent is just be with them, allow them to process it, and then they'll just get right back up and drive the bike again, you know, and have fun. So,
Like that, one of my biggest lessons lately has been that, like, I used to, I don't know, I guess it was a repeated pattern. Every time my daughters will fall or will hit themselves or fight with one another, I'll get in between and I'll be
mm,
like, blaming one and defending the other, and then blaming the other and defending the other one. And I literally saw how that was tearing them apart. I was tearing them apart. And I was doing it through guilt.
mm,
But then again, I sat down with myself and I was like, I'm not here always blaming mom and dad. You know, it's very easy to point fingers and say, oh, they taught me through fear. They taught me through this. I, as a family constellator now, I can tell you that there's many patterns that I can see. My mom breaking from my grandma, my dad breaking from my grandma, and so on and so forth. So that's one thing that I stopped like hitting myself with laser with, because it's understanding that I didn't have it rough. They probably had it rougher. And it's okay. My daughters are gonna have it less rough than me. And my granddaughters are gonna have it less rough than my daughters. And that's just the way life goes. But it's about self acknowledging again, right? Going down deep with the fear of facing the guilt, of facing the emotion that has been holding you back without you even realizing, because it's been holding back your whole family for who knows how many generations.
yeah. And through that process, and at least through guilt, observing guilt, appreciating guilt, feeling guilt, and then releasing guilt, life becomes lighter. And that's what I have learned, or I am still learning. But no, I'm still integrating, but I've definitely learned it. Not to take myself too serious, you know?
I like that. I like that. Not to take myself too seriously.
Because guilt is that like it's like you take yourself super is like the worst, you know? Like you're so important that you should burn in hell. It's like what the fuck?
Like, excuse me, what?
Yeah, exactly. Like through my own self-importance, I deserve hell. No, brother,
Burn yourself,
not
okay?
that important, and that's why you don't deserve hell. Don't take yourself too seriously.
It's not like you're going to, like, hell doesn't even deserve you.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, that is hell itself, you know? That is
I
hell.
think we create hell here. I don't think there is anything like hell anywhere else. I just think when we are done in this body, it's pure bliss, you know? And it's about collecting knowledge in order to have more blissfulness and then to come to the next life with more blissfulness, right? That's how I see it. That's how I see the game. I don't
Yeah.
see heaven and hell. I think heaven and hell is created right here.
Yeah.
It's the one that you want to create. You either are going to live through fear or you're going to live through love, through faith.
Yeah. Like the probably the main key to hell is just taking yourself way too seriously. That's like, you want to go to hell?
Take yourself seriously.
Number one, take yourself too seriously, Yeah. Instead of just letting go, forgiving yourself, forgiving yourself. you know? That's it. Like I had an experience in the tribe where uh I accidentally made a mistake. And I told the chief, like, hey, I want to ask forgiveness. I did this. And he was like, it's okay, man. Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. We can make mistakes once in a while. And he was very consistent. Like, I was like, sorry, I know I came to this community. Like, you live in a particular way, and I messed up. I just want to ask for your forgiveness. I'm sorry. And he was like, forgive yourself. Like, he didn't.
They didn't take care. They didn't take it seriously.
Yeah, exactly. It was like, just forgive yourself. Like, that was the very clear message. You don't need to ask. Well, like, obviously it was a gesture of like respect, me asking for like apologizing, but like you don't need to ask someone else. You don't need to ask God in essence for forgiveness. You are forgiven. He forgave me immediately. He didn't even need to tell me like I forgive you. He was like, forgive yourself. Like that was such a powerful lesson. Like, ooh, forgive yourself.
Hmm.
Like you don't need to ask God for forgiveness. Forgive yourself. If you really truly forgive yourself by remembering you're a human being, not taking yourself too seriously, you can be light again. And by being light, you don't repeat it as much, at least, because we can make mistakes constantly, but gently improve, make them less worse.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you for that wisdom bomb.
Yeah, it's a wisdom bump through like lived experience, like allowing
Oh,
myself.
I think that's the only way we can actually share our wisdom. I think we can share our wisdom through the things that we've gone through, because the things that we have not yet to experience, right? I mean, we can talk about it, we can learn about it, but it's not like you felt it in your, like it's not like you lived it. So I think that's the beauty in authenticity, right?
Yeah,
Well,
lived.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you
Wow.
so much for this. It's the first of many. Well, it's the second. The first one it hasn't seen the light of day, the light of day, but this is the first of many. And
This will be the first of many because you don't need to edit this as much as the other one, so you can post this
the good thing is that our coaching calls can be.
recorded podcast. That could be a totally new modality, but people need to be completely open to being on screen.
I
being
mean, my coaching calls with you can be podcast. I literally I'm okay with that.
I will allow some, not all. Yeah.
No, but thank you so much. What's one thing that you could add, just like a little tip?
So I would say action is also a way of healing. I mean is there are some steps in the healing process that may only be achieved, you want to see it that way, through the action of doing the thing that you are being called to do and want to do, but have not done it yet. You know, like there is definitely a place for understanding, for therapy, for therapies, for processing, but there comes a moment where only taking the action will lead you to the next step of healing, with whatever it is, you know. Say you're heartbroken and you went through a really rough heartbreak and you went to therapy and you've done many things with friends and you've forgiven yourself and forgiven the other person, but there comes a point where really like putting yourself out there in the dating scene again will be the only thing that may heal your heart. Or if you've gone bankrupt 3 times, doing it again and creating the fourth company is the only way sometimes after the healing. Or it's like, yeah, like if you're an athlete and you hurt yourself and you went through a surgery and then physiotherapy and a little bit of whatever, then putting yourself out there again in the field the first time is the only thing that will take you to that next level. So that's the only thing I would add to this.
I love that. Action. Action, and that's what we did today, right? We took action, and that's it. It feels good to take action. Now that I'm on the other side, I was extremely nervous, but now I'm on the other side, and taking action feels good. Taking action.
Yeah, it does. It's not that bad. It's never that bad. And it's never that important.
That's the key. It's never, don't take yourself too seriously. That's one of my biggest takeaways from today. Like release that guilt and understand that I don't have to keep being my own worst critic.
Yeah.
And it's okay to like I also critique myself sometimes for thinking I've healed that. And it's okay. Never we're like I always say, you're never gonna have enough wisdom to say that you're wise, right? Because you're always going to keep going up. You're never gonna heal. I'm never gonna heal my dad's death. I'm healing parts of it, but there's always gonna be things that I need to heal because I'm living stages through without him. So it's always understanding that, that I'm on my way.
Yeah. Aho. Yes, ma'am.
Well, I'll see you next episode that we do together, and thank you so much for this. Thank you,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you for the time as well, for the conversation.
No, thank you. And thank you for your openness and your wisdom and everything you have to share.
Aho.